Unit 6 review. Number 1, write the letter for each shape in the box that describes the shape. So under a quadrilateral, which means any shape that has 4 sides, I put all of them. A, B, C, and D. They're all quadrilaterals because they have 4 sides. Parallelograms are shapes that have one set of parallel lines. I'm sorry, 2 sets of parallel lines, excuse me. So A is, and also C is. B and D are not. B has 1 set of parallel lines. It's a trapezoid. D is not. 4 right angles. The only one that has 4 right angles would be A, the square. And all sides that have the same length, I put A and C, the square and this rhombus. It says draw 2 different parallelograms that are not squares or rhombuses. So I drew this rectangle that's 4 by 3, and I drew this slanted rectangle that's 1 by 3. It says, how did you decide which figures to draw? I said, I drew a rectangle that wasn't a square and a slanted parallelogram that wasn't a rhombus. So basically, I just made sure that the squares, that they didn't have equal lengths, is basically what I had to do. Squares and rhombuses have 4 equal side lengths. Okay. Number 3, Emily draws this figure for numbers 3A through 3E. Choose yes or no to tell whether the name describes the figure. Quadrilateral, yes. Rectangle, no. Parallelogram, yes. Rhombus, yes, and square, no. Okay. Mr. Gomez hangs a mural on a classroom wall. Find the perimeter and area of the wall. Perimeter is 26 feet. I counted it and I added 9, 9, and 4, 4, and that equals 26. And then I found the area. I just multiplied 9 times 4 and I got 36 square feet. Number 5, Liana plants a vegetable garden in 2 sections. She plants corn in a section that's 5 meters long and 6 meters wide. She plants squash in a section that's 3 meters long and 6 meters wide. Describe one way to find the area of the garden, then find the area. I said find the area of each section and add them together. So corn was 5 by 6, which is 30, and squash was 3 by 6, which was 18, and then I added it together and I got 48 square meters. Part B, draw a picture of the garden to show that your answer is correct. So here's her corn garden. It was 6 by 5, which was 30. And this was her squash garden, and that was 6 by 3, which is 18. Okay, the other thing that's interesting to know is that if you add 5 plus 3, that gives you 8, and we know that 6 times 8 is 48, so it's the same answer. You see? A park ranger has 32 feet of fencing to fence the 4 sides of a rectangular recycling site. What is the greatest area of recycling site that the ranger can fence? Explain how you know. So the greatest area is 64 square feet. The park ranger can make an 8 by 8 square. Okay, 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, so 4 8s is 32, and that's how much fencing he has. That's the perimeter. And 8 by 8, 8 times 8 is 64. And the reason we know that it's a square is because of what remember we discovered that a while ago, that greatest area, squares make the greatest area. Okay. Way longer than the long, skinny rectangles. Number 7, this hexagon, which by the way, hexagon means a 6-sided figure, has been divided into triangles with equal areas. What part of the area of the hexagon is the area of each triangle? So since there are 6 triangles there, each of those would be 1 out of 6. So C, 1/6. The octagon, which is an 8-sided shape, has been divided into triangles with equal areas. The area of each triangle is 2 square units. So this time you kind of have to count by 2s to see. Okay, because each of these triangles is equal to 2. Choose the number that completes the sentence. The area of the octagon is 16 square units. Okay, that's because each of them are 2. So 8 times 2 is 16. You can count them by 2s. Okay, number 9, Steve makes a banner with an area of 8 square feet. On the grid, draw all the possible rectangles with an area of 8 square feet and sides whose lengths are whole feet. Label the lengths of the 2 adjacent sides of each rectangle. Label each rectangle with its perimeter. So I made one that's 1 by 8. Perimeter was 18. I made one that was 2 by 4, perimeter was 10. And then this was the same perimeter, it was just set up differently. It's 4 by 2, and then I did one that was 8 by 1. It's 18. Compare the perimeters of the banners. What do you notice about their shapes? I noticed that the greater perimeter was long and thin, while the smaller perimeter was closer to a square. So this one had the smaller perimeter. It's closer to a square than this. This was long and thin. Okay. Zach uses number 10. Zach uses 64 inches of wood to build a rectangular picture frame. The length of one side is 25 inches. What is the length of the other side? So we need to know side length. Okay. And so the way that we figure this out, as you can see, I made a mistake for a second here. I drew it out. I said, okay, so 25 and 25, and then we don't know these two sides, but we know it's going to add up to 64. So if you add up 25 and 25, it gives you 50. And if you take 50 and subtract that from 64, you get 14. So the missing number is 14. Well, you have to take that number, and since it's a square, it has to be the two numbers that add up to 14. So see, as I put 14, then I realized, wait a minute, one side's not 14. The combined total of the two sides is 14. So it's actually 7 and 7. Haley's patio is 9 feet long. If the area of the patio is 90 square feet, how wide is the patio? So we know the whole thing's 90. We know one side is 9. We know the other side has to be 10 because 9 times 10 is 90. Okay. Oops. Okay, so here's simple matching. Just count the number of squares inside of each. This one is 15. The second one is 13. And the last one is 14. Number 13, Riki cuts 2 decagons out of cardboard. Then he glues yarn around the edges. How much yarn does Riki use if each edge of the decagon is 8 centimeters? Okay, so decagons are 10-sided shapes. Okay, so if each of the sides are 8 inches, then each decagon is going to be 80, right? It's going to have 80 centimeters. I said inches, sorry. So each decagon has 80 centimeters. So if there's 2 of them, then that's 80 plus 80, so that's 160. Number 14, select all the figures that are quadrilaterals. Quadrilateral just means a shape that has 4 sides. So yes, this green shape has 4 sides. No, no, yes, and yes.